You enter with desire, and she let you. I don't believe it.
One of the most tragic characters in the book series was just introduced in Outlander Season 7, Episode 12, and his effects on William, Jamie, and Claire will endure for years. William Ransom finds out the harsh reality of his parentage in this episode of Season 7, and he doesn't take it well. He meets Arabella, a young prostitute, at a Philadelphia brothel after hearing the news. Despite William's initial rudeness toward Arabella, they eventually develop a close bond. Though this isn't the end of their stories, this is essentially how everything happened in Diana Gabaldon's Outlander novels. In Outlander Season 7, Episode 12, after being expelled from the brothel, William returns with a group of his fellow British soldiers and is reunited with Arabella. Captain Harkness, who views Arabella as his personal property, is one of them. William outbids Harkness and takes Arabella for the night, albeit only to ensure she has a restful night's sleep, after hearing the man say he intends to purchase a night with the girl and do a number of horrible things to her. At this point, William discovers that Arabella's real name is Jane, and they form a special bond. Gabaldon's book written in my own heart's blood tells the complete story of Arabella, whose real name in Outlander is Jane Pocock. It is eventually disclosed that Jane is an orphan who turned to prostitution to support her younger sister, Franny. Following her encounter with William, she manages to keep them both safe at the brothel for a while, but Captain Harkness starts to pose a bigger threat to the sisters. In order to get what he wants, he eventually demands a night with little Franny and pays a hefty price. Jane, who is desperate to keep her sister safe, goes with Franny to Harkness's room and, while he is preoccupied, slits the man's throat. After Harkness is killed, Jane and Franny flee, and William assists them in finding refuge with Rachel Hunter and a group of Quakers. Unfortunately, it is insufficient. Jane is apprehended and given a hanging sentence after being identified as Harkness' murderer. In order to free the girl, William enlists Jamie's assistance, but it is ultimately too late. Jane kills herself in an attempt to spare Franny the agony of witnessing her beloved big sister being hanged. In Outlander, it's a horrible, tragic story that profoundly affects not just William, but also Jamie and Claire. William had a difficult episode in Outlander Season 7, Episode 12. Since he places a great deal of importance on his identity and status, learning that he is a bastard causes William to experience an identity crisis. William had the audacity to have Ian Murray arrested for assaulting an officer after he unjustly punched him. He then gave poor Rachel Hunter a full face kiss, something he was much too gentlemanly to have done before discovering who he really was. For a brief moment, William seemed to believe that being a bastard meant that he was fundamentally evil, and he acted accordingly. But William had to intervene when he learned of the abuse Captain Harkness intended to inflict on Jane. William's act of kindness here had an effect, and his instincts were still sound despite his identity crisis and his recent discovery that he was a bastard. William will keep doing everything in his power to support Jane throughout the narrative, even going so far as to enlist Jamie's assistance. Despite the tragic ending of her story, Jane teaches William important things about himself. The goodness of his own heart is far more significant than his birth circumstances and general status. Jane transforms the lives of others besides William. Little Franny is taken in by Jamie and Claire after the girl's untimely death, and she ends up becoming their own adopted daughter. Franny and Jamie and Claire move to Fraser's Ridge in the book Go Tell the Bees That I Am Gone, where they become close friends with Jemmy when he returns to Fraser's Ridge from the future, and Germain, the son of Fergus and Marzali. Therefore, Franny's life ends up being everything the older sister could have imagined, even though Jane's story ends tragically. Franny receives a family and stability as a result of her efforts in Outlander Season 7,